Hello there. In this video, we're going to look at making our notification banner for our design system. So let's go. Okay, welcome back to the file. So let's scroll all the way down. Let's just click on the last page and let's click on the plus to add a new page. And I'm just going to call this notification banner. Okay, let's go in and steal the layout of one of our pages. So let's just go to the navigation links. Let's just press Command C. Let's lock that again. Let's go down here. Press Command V. Just going to delete out that component. Okay, and let's update this page. Okay, so we've updated the page, so the notification banner displays brief contextual feedback for error, alert, success, and general information messages. So that gives someone coming into the file an idea of what this component is going to be used for. Okay, so let's go to the left. Let's press F on the keyboard for a frame, and let's draw out a frame. And this can be our testing area, so that's fine. Let's go back home, let's open the research file, and let's go into the wireframes. Okay, so what do we have? We've got a message that appears below the contact form just here. So let's go back, let's lock that. Let me just close that file and let me just paste in the wireframe here. Okay, so this is a pretty basic message. It was part of the wireframes and we could probably give it a little bit more structure if we're building it out as a component. So at the moment we just have the background and it has some kind of color, and then we have a feedback message here that gives the user more information on what's going on. So what I'd like to do is, let me just option click and drag on this wireframe. I probably want it to have a bit more flexibility, so let me just remove the auto layout so I can drag things around, and let's just remove the auto layout from here as well. Let's just break it apart a little bit. And I'm pretty sure that's got an auto layout, so let's remove that. Okay, so now we can move things around a little bit more freely. Okay, so let's roughly mock up what we want. So I want to align the text left. It's probably going to make it a little bit easier to read. I want to add just above some kind of heading, so it's really clear on what this message is regarding, so we can give a little bit more context. So we're using 14 here. Okay, let's leave the heading as 16 semi-bold for now. We'll have the message here. Just bring that up. And we'll probably place the message a bit closer. Okay, so to try and think about how to future-proof this, currently this is used below a contact form. I'm just thinking if we used it across the top of a website or on different pages of the website, what other things would be useful? You might want to show the user a message, but you also might want them to be able to close it so it doesn't clutter the UI. So let's just go in here and let's just type icon slot. Let's just drag and drop that and let's put that in there. It could be useful here to have a collapsible notification banner. So maybe you just want to show the heading, and then after you collapse it, it then shows the rest of the context if there's a lot of text. So that could be an option. Let's just option click and drag another version out of this. So let's just try and do a few examples here. So maybe we have that version where you just show the heading and then you can expand it and then you'll be able to show more details. Let me just go in here and just change that to chevron up. So just clicking here on actions, I'm just going to type in feather icons. And what I want is, this close icon. So we're probably going to need to, let me just click it. What we're probably going to need to do is add this new icon here. I'll just leave a note here, add new icon. Let's just make that a slightly different color so it stands out. There we go, let's put it in here. This isn't going to be perfect, this is me just experimenting here in the testing area, but I can see there could be value in displaying a message to a user and allowing them the ability to close that message once they've read it so it doesn't clutter the UI. So I think that could be useful. Let's just expand this test area out a little bit further. I think one final version to consider would be adding a call to action inside of this banner. So let me just drag a button and let me just make this ever slightly bigger. There we go. So potentially adding, I'll add 2 buttons in here. Let's go to tertiary for now. So potentially it would be useful, I think, to add in buttons just in case you want to guide the user to a certain page. So we'll add in the primary and tertiary buttons for now, and we can have them there in the background. They don't have to display. I guess it's a choice that the designer could make whether they want to use them or not. Okay, going back to the sentence we have up here, it says displays brief contextual feedback for error, alert, success, and general information. So what we probably want to do with each of those different states is assign the relevant colors to them. So based on that, you probably want to assign certain colors for error, alert, and success, which we have when we go into our style guide. Let me just load the page, and let's go into colors. So we've got our error, we've got our alert, and we've got our success. I guess we can choose another color, maybe from the brand, regarding the general information. So that's something to consider as well when we're building out the component. So yeah, I think this is a good start. This is why we have the testing area, because you can make an absolute mess and experiment and think about how the component is going to work for the project. Okay, so let's start recreating this as a component. So let's press F on the keyboard for frame. Let's just draw this out roughly. Let's just drag that to there. Let's just double check what we are rounding the corners to. I think it's 16, so let's do 16. Let's just add any color for the moment. Let's just add neutral 100, maybe something actually a bit lighter. No, it's still lighter. Yeah, let's just use neutral 20 just for the moment. Let's rename this to notification, and inside this let's just press Shift A, and let's just press T for the text tool. Now I know that's going to hug, so let me just grab it again and I'll just drag it out for the meantime. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just start by adding some spacing variables. There we go, so I've added 16 to the horizontal gap and padding of 24 pixels all the way around. That will be the start. Let's press Shift A on this text and let's rename this heading. Okay, let's set that to fill. And let's make sure that is aligned left. Let's go in here. Okay, for the heading text, let's go ahead and apply some variables. Okay, so those typography variables have been applied. Let's add a color. So let's go neutral 600. Okay, so just below this, let me press Command D. Now I actually want the notification auto layout to be vertical, not horizontal. So that changes that. Let's just update this to content. And let's just go in. This isn't going to be heading. What we'll do is let's just reuse this example text here, paste that in. Okay, so let's go in and apply some typography variables to this text. Okay, so those variables are done for the typography. Let's go in and adjust the color. So it's going to be neutral 600. Okay, so beneath this, so we've got the heading, we've got the content, and last of all, let me just duplicate this again. Let's label this as buttons. Okay, so we can delete that. Let's go to assets, let's type in button, and let's just drag that out. I'm just going to go back to file so I can see my layers. I'm going to press Command C. We just delete that out and put it inside the correct place. Let's just do that twice. Okay, so let's just start at the top again. So for the heading, one thing we are missing is we need that icon slot in the heading. So let's go assets, icon slot. Okay, there we go. Let me just drag it out. Okay, that's great. That's in the heading. Let's click here. So we're currently aligned left here in the auto layout. I'm going to double click. So that then sets the horizontal gap to auto. So it's pushing those two elements apart. And for the default, for the moment, let's just use chevron up. So that can be an expanded notification. Let's click here. Let's go to the height. Let's click on hug. Okay, that's better. Okay, so let's go into the heading again. Let's set some spacing variables. So let's set the padding to 0. Okay, let's do the same for the content. So we'll set the horizontal gap as 8 pixels, and then we'll set the padding to 0. Okay, let's go to buttons. I'm just going to increase the spacing ever so slightly. So we'll set it to, let's set the horizontal gap to 16, and let's just zero out the padding again. So that should be good. Let's go back in on the second button. I want it to be tertiary. Okay, so I think that will be the basics of our notification. So we've got a heading section, we've got a content section, and we've got a button section as well. We can always add more functionality to this component at a later date, but for now, let's just leave it as this. So we've got the heading, the content, the buttons, and the ability to either collapse or expand or maybe close the notification. Okay, so one thing we need to do is add a new icon. Let's go home. Let's go into the style guide and let's hit icons. There we go. Let's just unlock this here and let's go into feather icons, which is here. Okay, just type close. That's what I want right there. So let me close feather icons. Let me grab that and let's just see if we can put it inside of that container. Okay, there we go. Let's move it along. Now, just to double check what we've been doing, it looks like we've been flattening these icons and then setting them to scale, so that's good. Okay, so now we've got the icon in place. Let's just select both the vectors and you can right click and you can flatten them. So there we go, that combines both of those vectors. They're already set to scale, so that should be good. Okay, for now we'll just call it cross. Let's just press Command Option K, create as a component. Let's just deselect everything. Let's lock everything and let's go to assets. Let's go to libraries and let's click on publish. And I'll just add some notes. Okay, gonna hit publish. And there we go, that icon should now be available to use in the other files. All right, let's close that down. Let's go back into the UI kit. Okay, let me just double click into here. Let's just see if that icon is now available. Yep, that's all available. So that's good. Okay, I think we've got everything that we need. Let me just expand this testing area out a little bit more because there's quite a lot going on. Let me just drag this across. Okay, that's it for part 1 of the video. Part 2 will be coming next week. So like and subscribe, add some comments, and I will see you in the next video.
Okay.